in my first 3 games in charge, with 2 victories and 1 draw, I said to you, the storm is coming.
Rúben Amorim is rebuilding Manchester United the hard way.
I came here to be the manager of Manchester United, not to be the coach of Manchester United. And that is clear. I know that my name is not Tuchel, is not Conte, is not Mourinho, but I'm the manager of Manchester United.
And here's the thing, this United team isn't broken anymore. They're organized, they're fitter, they're genuinely difficult to play against. Even with Bruno Fernandes injured, key attacking threats missing, rotation happening at the back, and a new attacker still finding his confidence, they're matching up against teams week after week. Just look at what happened at Elland Road. United came away with a 1-1 draw, fair enough on the surface, but dig into the numbers and you'll see something different. 1.58 XG to Leeds 0.9. Leeds had 15 shots, but only 2 actually tested the keeper. Joshua Zirkzee came off the bench and changed the game in minutes. And Matheus Cunha, a player plenty of people had written off, scored, rattled the woodwork, and led from the front. United covered more ground. They pressed harder for longer. They stayed compact. They controlled the moments that usually decide matches. This isn't the United side that used to fall apart. This is a team learning how to dig in, how to compete, how to believe in itself again. And that's what makes this moment so important. Because when a team creates chances, controls territory, stays defensively solid, and still doesn't score enough, the issue isn't effort anymore. It's not even injuries. It's a decision Amorim keeps making. One that explains why United draw games they should be winning, why the performances look good but the results don't quite match, and why this progress might quietly stall if something doesn't shift. Players are stepping up. The goalkeeper is keeping them in games. Players others doubted are taking on responsibility. The system is working, but the room for mistakes is getting smaller, and if Amorim doesn't address this soon, United won't fall apart. They'll just plateau, and at this level, that's how promising projects fade away. So the question isn't whether United are getting better. They clearly are. The real question is, will Amorim find that final piece, or will it undermine everything he's worked to build?
He's not good enough to be Manchester United's manager. He's barely competent enough to be a Premier League manager right now.
Rúben Amorim didn't arrive at Manchester United promising miracles. He promised structure, control, a team that could suffer together before it could win together.
We are going to suffer for a long period and we will try to win games. This will take time, but I know we have to win games.
And for the first time in years, that promise is no longer empty rhetoric. It's visible on the pitch. Look past the score lines, and this United side is statistically harder to beat than most teams around them. They are 6th in the table, not by luck, but by control. Their defensive numbers have stabilized. Their pressing distances are shorter. Their compactness between lines has improved dramatically compared to last season. They are conceding fewer big chances per game, allowing fewer shots inside the box, and forcing opponents into low-quality efforts. Even the Leeds match, officially a frustrating 1-1 draw, reinforced that trend. Leeds managed 11 shots, but only 3 were on target. United conceded territory at times, but not chaos. Their goalkeeper was called into action, yes, but not repeatedly, not desperately. That matters. This is not a team hanging on anymore. And yet, the goals are not coming. United produced 1.58 expected goals at Elland Road from just 15 shots. That's efficiency and chance creation. That's a team getting into the right zones. They had 25 touches inside the opposition box, nearly identical to Leeds, despite having less possession overall. This is not sterile dominance. This is functional football, but functional football without output becomes dangerous. Across the season, this pattern has repeated itself. United are outperforming mid-table and lower half sides on XG, field tilt, and territory, yet failing to turn that superiority into wins. They draw games they control. They dominate stretches without killing matches. The difference between Manchester United and the teams chasing them isn't effort or organization. It's final third decisiveness. And here's where the illusion forms, because progress without payoff feels like success, until it isn't. Amorim has successfully rebuilt the engine of this team. The press is coordinated. The rest defense is disciplined. The distances between the back line and the forwards have shrunk from last season's chaos. United no longer break apart when possession is lost. They recover shape. They reset. They fight again. Players who were written off are contributing. The goalkeeper is saving points. Substitutes are changing games. The squad looks mentally stronger. But football is cruelly simple in one respect. Structure only matters if it produces goals. Against Leeds, United created one big chance and scored it. Leeds created 0 and still scored. That's the warning sign. When margins tighten, structure alone cannot save you. Matches begin to hinge on details. Who occupies the 6-yard box? Who attacks the cutback? Who shoots instead of laying it off? Who takes responsibility when patterns break down? This is where United stall. Their attacking sequences are clean, rehearsed, and often impressive, but too many of them end with shots from difficult angles, delayed decisions in central zones, or a final pass that prioritizes control over conviction. The numbers confirm it. Low shots on target ratios despite healthy XG totals. Possession that advances play but doesn't always finish it, and that's not accidental. It's the byproduct of a philosophy. Amorim has built a system that values collective balance over individual risk. His front line presses as a unit. His wide players stretch the pitch. His midfielders prioritize rest defense and counter-pressing shape. The structure is designed to prevent collapse first, and that has worked. But in doing so, United often arrive in scoring positions without enough bodies attacking the decisive spaces. They circulate the ball well, but hesitate at the moment of execution. The system protects them, but it also restrains them. That's why United can look dominant without being ruthless. That's why they can hit the woodwork, force saves, rack up XG, and still leave points behind. And that's why this progress is fragile. Because as long as United keep winning their battles everywhere except the scoreboard, the pressure doesn't disappear. It accumulates. Confidence remains conditional. Momentum becomes temporary. One missed chance turns into 2. One draw turns into a run of them. This is the paradox of Amorim's United. They are better than they were. They are stronger than they look. They are closer than people think, but they are also standing at a crossroads. Fix the final third problem, and this team can turn control into authority. Ignore it, and all this progress becomes an illusion. Impressive, encouraging, and ultimately insufficient. And the most unsettling part? The mistake holding them back isn't about injuries. It isn't about effort. It isn't about personnel. It's about a decision Amorim keeps making by design. And now that decision is beginning to define Manchester United's ceiling. The progress is real, not theoretical, not narrative driven, real, measurable, and visible in the players who are now carrying Manchester United through games, even with some of their most dangerous creative figures missing. This is the part of the story many people are overlooking, because while the goals may not always come, the foundation is no longer weak, and the evidence lives in individuals who months ago were either doubted, ignored, or written off entirely. Start with Senna Lamens, a goalkeeper who has quietly stabilized a position that once defined United's anxiety. In 14 appearances, Lamens has conceded 19 goals. Not elite numbers on the surface, but context changes everything. United are allowing fewer clear-cut chances, and when the structure breaks, Lamens is there. He's made 33 saves, including high-difficulty stops in decisive moments, none bigger than the improvised overhead kick save against Okafor at Elland Road. But his biggest contribution goes beyond shot stopping. Lamens has completed 437 passes, showing Amorim's intent to build from deep, even under pressure. His long passing accuracy isn't spectacular, 30% completion, but the purpose matters, stretching opponents, bypassing first presses, and starting vertical attacks. That disallowed Cunha goal at Leeds? It began with Lamens' distribution. United no longer panic when pressed. They reset. They trust their keeper. That alone is progress. Then there's Patrick Dorgu, someone few people are talking about, but who embodies Amorim's system learning curve better than most. In 19 appearances, 8 as a substitute, Dorgu has quietly become one of United's most reliable outlets. He's contributed 1 goal and 2 assists, but the deeper numbers reveal why Amorim trusts him now. Dorgu has registered 49 touches in the opposition box, a high figure for a player not deployed as a primary attacker. He consistently arrives late, wide to in, stretching defensive lines rather than forcing play centrally. His XG 1.04 and XA 1.18 reflect balance. Not volume shooting, but meaningful involvement. Defensively, he's won 112 duels, including 33 aerials, while contributing 37 tackles. He's not flashy, but he's dependable. And in a system built on synchronized movement, dependability is currency. Aiden Heaven made a mistake against Leeds. His misjudgment led to Aronson's opener, but to stop there is to miss the wider picture. In 9 appearances, 2 as a sub, sub, Heaven has shown maturity well beyond expectation. He completes 90% of his passes, including 61% of long balls, a remarkable figure for a young defender in a high-risk build-up system. He's won 36 duels, 16 aerial battles, and recorded 14 tackles in just 577 minutes. This isn't a player being hidden. This is a player being trusted. Amorim isn't protecting Heaven, he's testing him, and Heaven is responding by playing within the system, not hiding from responsibility. For years, Diogo Dalot symbolized United's inconsistency. Now under Amorim, he symbolizes control. In 18 appearances, Dalot has delivered 1 goal and 2 assists, but more importantly, he's become tactically disciplined. His 82% pass completion and 54% long pass accuracy reflect his evolving role, not just overlapping, but recycling possession and protecting rest defense. Dalot has played 1,319 minutes, winning 68 duels, contributing 26 tackles, and holding his position far better than in previous seasons. He's no longer gambling, he's calculating. This is exactly what Amorim demands. The numbers for Joshua Zirkzee won't wow anyone. 2 goals, 1 assist in 13 appearances, 9 off the bench. But his influence tells a different story. Zirkzee has an XG of 1.87, meaning he's finishing at a sustainable rate. More importantly, his movement has changed games. At Leeds, his introduction flipped the match instantly. A perfectly weighted through ball, spatial intelligence, and composure under pressure. In 465 minutes, he's won 30 duels, 16 aerials, and shown he can function as both a connector and a disruptor. He's not the finished product, but he's functional, and that matters in tight games. And then there's Matheus Cunha. No player carries more responsibility in this United side right now. With 4 goals and 1 assist in 17 appearances, Cunha's XG 4.73 aligns almost perfectly with output, meaning he's not underperforming. He's doing exactly what the system allows him to do. Cunha has registered 70 touches in the opposition box, 35 shots on target combined, and hit the woodwork 3 times. At Leeds, he scored, had another ruled out, and struck the post. This wasn't luck, it was repetition. He presses, links, dribbles, 54 completed dribbles at 52%, and still delivers in decisive moments. But he's also being asked to do too much, and that's important later. Now zoom out. All of this is happening without Bruno Fernandes, without Kobbie Mainoo, without Mason Mount, without De Ligt and Maguire, without Ahmad and Brian Mbeumo due to AFCON. And still, Manchester United are 5th, still competing, still organized, still hard to beat. Imagine what this structure looks like when Bruno returns to supply final third incision, when Mainoo adds control between the lines, when Mount increases vertical pressure, when De Ligt and Maguire stabilize the back line, when Ahmad and Mbeumo restore wide unpredictability. This is why the situation is dangerous, but promising, because United are improving before their ceiling players return, which leads us directly to the real question. If this is Manchester United without their best creators, what's holding them back from turning progress into dominance? That's where the story turns. Here's the part that makes Rúben Amorim's Manchester United so difficult to evaluate from the outside. The structure is working, the improvements are real, the press is coordinated, the spacing is cleaner, the defensive shape is far more stable than it was. Even the underlying attacking numbers have often painted United as a team doing many of the right things. In September, the Premier League's own tactical analysis highlighted that Amorim's side were ranking top for key attacking metrics like XG and shots attempted, even when results lagged behind. So why do so many matches still feel like they're missing the final punch? Because Amorim keeps making a trade-off, and it's a trade-off that looks smart. Right until it becomes expensive. He keeps choosing control over chaos in the final third. That sounds like a compliment, and in many ways it is. But it comes with a hidden cost. United attack with a handbrake on, and it shows up in the same place again and again. The penalty area. The shape is fine. The problem is what the shape produces. Amorim's default structure is a variation of his sporting blueprint, often described as a 3-4-2-1 or 3-4-3 family with aggressive wingbacks and 2 inside attackers supporting the striker. In possession, that shape commonly becomes a 3-2-5 or 2-3-5 depending on who steps up, who stays, and how the wingbacks are positioned. The aim is clear. Pin the opposition back line with width, create overloads in half spaces through the 2 attacking midfielders or inside forwards, and lock in the opponent with compact rest defense so counterattacks die before they start. This is why United look set now. They don't look like 11 individuals trying to improvise. But here's the recurring issue. to. The buildup is designed to minimize risk, and that caution carries forward into the box. United progress well. They arrive, they probe, they generate XG. Then the attack often ends in one of two ways: a shot from an awkward angle or distance, or a moment of hesitation inside the box that allows the defense to reset. That's why you can see decent XG totals without the scoreboard reflecting dominance. The data is screaming finishing problem, but the tactics explain why. Independent tactical and statistical analysis has pointed to United's conversion issues. For example, one early season breakdown noted a very low conversion rate in the opening weeks and framed the numbers as reason for optimism and a warning. The process was good, the finishing wasn't, but conversion rate by itself can sound like bad luck. What Amorim's structure reveals is that it's not only finishing, it's chance profile, the type of chances United consistently end up taking. A controlled rest defense first attacking system tends to create a pattern. The wingbacks and wide forwards are encouraged to recycle rather than force low percentage passes. Midfielders are coached to hold position to protect against transitions, and the striker is often asked to press, link, and drag defenders rather than purely live between posts. The result, United frequently arrive in the final third with numbers around the box, but fewer bodies committed into the 6-yard corridor at the exact moment the ball arrives. This is the key mistake. Amorim's United can look like they're attacking with 5, but finishing like they're attacking with 1. Leeds was the perfect snapshot of the problem. The 1-1 draw at Leeds wasn't a random slip, it was a clean example of how this team functions right now. United created the better quality chances overall. Reuters reported that Kuna had an early goal ruled out for offside, later hit the post, and both keepers made key saves in an intense match. And the match stats line up with the same story. United's XG was higher, 1.58 versus 0.9. They had 25 touches in the opposition box, and yet the game still ended with a single goal scored from open play. Now focus on the moment Leeds scored. It came from a defensive lapse. Aronson exploiting space after Heaven misjudged a pass. That part is execution. It happens. What matters is what United did next. Amorim responded immediately with a structural switch. He changed the shape and introduced Joshua Zirkzee. And within minutes, United scored. The club's own report is explicit. Zirkzee teed up Cunha, and United were behind for only 3 minutes. That sequence is revealing because it showed that United can break lines quickly, they can create a high-quality chance on demand, and they do have players capable of delivering the final pass. So why didn't that turn into a second goal push? Because after the equalizer, United reverted to the safety-first posture, control the game, manage the risk, avoid being opened up. They kept generating moments. Cunha hit the post. Lamens produced a significant save, but they didn't consistently flood the box in the way top finishing sides do. In other words, the system could rescue the match, but it didn't fully finish the match. Elite chance creation isn't only about the pass that enters the box, it's about having one player attacking the first space, one arriving for the cutback, one attacking the back post, and ideally one hovering for second balls. Amorim's entire United project has been built around eliminating the chaos that defined the club's worst moments. Even recent reporting has emphasized the pressure and turbulence around the club, internal tension, questions about backing, and the constant scrutiny of every decision. In that environment, a coach naturally gravitates to what feels controllable. Distances between lines, rest defense, pressing structure, risk management. It's also why he can look so stubborn, because the system is the foundation of the rebuild. If you loosen it too early, you risk returning to the anything can happen United that collapsed under pressure. So Amorim has tried to win matches with discipline first, but the Premier League has a brutal lesson. You can be disciplined and still drop points if you don't turn dominance into goals. That's how runs of draws turn into loss of momentum, even when performances remain decent. It's why Manchester United can be 6th, competitive, and improving, and still be one bad finishing stretch away from a storm. One Premier League tactical piece earlier in the season pointed specifically to the positive influence of players like Bryan Mbeumo and noted that Mount and Cunha had also provided attacking uplift before injuries and international duties disrupted rhythm. When players like that are available together, the final pass arrives earlier, cleaner, and closer to goal, which reduces the need for those extra touches that kill chances. But this only works if Amorim makes one adjustment. The system must allow more bodies to attack the box at the decisive moment. moment, rather than prioritizing rest defense to the point of bluntness. And that brings us to the turning point, because the solution isn't a new formation. It's not ripping up the blueprint, it's a calibrated release of the handbrake, changing box occupation, timing, and final third risk so United stop playing like a team that's afraid of losing and start playing like a team that expects to win. The difference between Manchester United drifting through draws and turning performances into wins isn't radical change. It's one calculated adjustment to how Rúben Amorim allows his team to attack the box. The system doesn't need to be torn down, it needs to be released selectively. Right now, when the ball reaches the final third, the instruction is still conservative: recycle, reset, protect the structure. The adjustment is simple: when the ball enters the final third with numerical superiority, one holding midfielder must be released. When the winger or wingback receives facing goal, one additional runner must attack the penalty spot zone. This isn't chaos, it's conditional aggression. United's problem isn't the quality of their passes into the box, it's who arrives when the ball arrives. The fix requires defined roles. One player attacks the near post, one the penalty spot, one the far post, and one hovers for rebounds. This doesn't require new players, it requires clarity. The striker has been asked to do everything: press, link play, drag defenders, create space. All valuable, but goals don't come from being valuable. They come from being present. In settled possession, the striker's first instruction must be penalty area occupation. One attacker must always be thinking like a finisher, not a facilitator. At least one substitution per match must be disruptive by design, when opponents are tired and space appears naturally. The return of Bruno, Mainu, Mount, De Ligt, Maguire, Ahmad, and Mbomo will elevate United, but only if the system is adjusted. Better players alone won't fix overly restrained tactics. Right now, Manchester United are balanced on a knife edge. They're fit, organized, improving, and fifth. But football seasons reward conversion, not potential. One extra runner into the box, one earlier commitment, one tactical instruction that says, now we go for it. That's all it takes. Rúben Amorim has already done the hard part. He rebuilt the structure. He restored belief. He made United hard to beat again. Now comes the most difficult step for a control-minded coach: trusting his team enough to let them hurt opponents. Because if he gets this right, Manchester United won't just be improving, they'll be inevitable.